I'm joined by Kathy Bilkis. She is, of course, your tax lady. Kathy, welcome.
Hello.
And Kathy, you always have great advice for us from tax professionals. And today we're going to talk about college students and those 529s and how we need to sort of plan for that time in life. So let's back up and talk about, if your kiddos are small, why are 529s a great idea?
It gives you the flexibility so that you can put money aside, grandparents can help, and or other relatives that can help, and they're tax deductibles. Monies that you can set aside, because as the children finally get to college or get off to college, it is going to be a little more expensive, and this way you can start planning now and get a nice fund set aside so that it's growing with the child. And
you deduct that money as they go, as you contribute,
every
right?
year it is a nice contribution off your state.
And the interesting thing about 529s, of course, is they're transferable. Because I know I have one of my children who's going to be in the NHL by the time he's 18. He's announced this. So when that happens, that money could be transferred to a sibling, correct? Or even a cousin, right?
Yes, you bet. It can be transferred to any blood relative.
Okay. So now's the time, if your kids are little, to start thinking about that. Maybe talk to your tax professional. But now when they get older, we know a lot of kids have gone off to college in the past few weeks or are heading off this week. What do we need to know as parents to advise them on how to be spending those funds?
Well, they need to look at where they can spend those 529 funds that give them the most bang for their buck. For supplies, for supplies, or for their computers if it's required by their class, their tuition, lab fees, any of those things.
So the 529 monies then can be used to pay those things through the educational institution?
Yes. Yes, they give them access to the funds, and then as they spend them, they're not taxable to that student.
Okay, and so that's really important. If you've got a college student out there, sit down and have that conversation.
Yes.
Or call up the educational student, talk to the finance department, and they can help you figure that out. Now, the one thing, though, that is not tax deductible, you want to make this clear, is what?
Room and board is not taxable.
Okay.
So if you go out for that pizza during your dorm days, it is not a deductible.
It is not. So you can't write that kind of stuff off.
No.
But it really is important that your kids understand this, because
yes.
then it affects your taxes. Now, it affects, you were explaining, the tax of the person who claims the child as the dependent.
It follows the dependency of the child. So whichever parent is claiming that child as a dependent on their tax return, they get to claim the credit. Part of the credit is refundable, part of it is not. It is a phase out on some people's income. It all depends. So you need to speak to a professional to find out what biggest bang you can get.
Right, and what really qualifies, because the fact that you mentioned computers, I mean, that's huge, and some of these lab fees that we might not think about. So really sit down with your tax professional and figure that out, and make sure you have a frank conversation with your college student so that they know it really is important to get this back. And then just briefly, for adults going back to school, adults can get that tax credit for tuition as well, as long as they are paying for the tuition, correct?
Correct. It's not a reimbursement by the military, not a scholarship, not a grant. This is you actually paying for it. Now, it can be you financing it through a student loan.
Okay.
That's you paying for it, because in the end, you're going to be paying for that.
But it's coming out of your pocket, right?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Tag.
Call today for your free tax strategy consultation, or visit me online for more information.